me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go! I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second.
What we learned from the Dolphins at the end of this gut-wrenching playoff game. I mean, honestly, going into this, if I told you or I told my past self that this game was going to be a 31-34 and you would have a close chance of winning this game, I would not have believed myself. But this was to kind of cap the season off. I know you didn't win, but to have a game like this to go into the end of the season, I think we can all look forward to, next season and building on what we just did. Honestly, if we got blown out, it would have been another similar Dolphins hoopla. But, ending the season like this, super competitive against the Bills without our starting quarterback or starting running back or, starting corners, safety, whatever it is. Being competitive against them and making them really crap their pants, that was pretty fun to watch. It was really fun to watch, and it was such a hard-fought game that it gives you hope for the next season. But what we learned from this game is that Mike McDaniel needs to stay. We have a good coach. He just needs to learn from his mistakes. He needs to speed up the play clock in his own head because he just, sometimes it just gets over way too much time, and we just don't have enough time to hike the ball. But, again, they were saying that they told him it was a first down, so that's why that was confusing, maybe the ref had something to do with some of this, but it's hearsay. Number one, Mike McDaniel needs to stay. He's a good coach, and he can be a great coach if he learns from some of his mistakes and he progresses, because it just showed that he gives a team that has heart. They'll play for him. They'll play as hard as they can for him, and they're going to give it everything they got. We just, unfortunately, what we learned as well, which is the second thing that I want to discuss, is that this is what happens when you have an injury-riddled team, from your starting quarterback down to your defense, everything. There was a significant amount of injuries where Kader Kohu was a gem, but he was not supposed to be starting this year. We were supposed to have a bunch of different players starting for the Miami Dolphins this year, and they just all got injured throughout the year. And it wasn't just small, it was significant injuries. I mean, Teron Armstead, you look at the injury report, and Teron Armstead has like 5 different injuries. I mean, he's the most looking forward to this offseason because he just doesn't, he was injured all over himself. So we went pretty far, but what we learned is that we need to be a healthy team in order to make it anywhere. And it was just unfortunate that most of the season was in the beginning when most of our players were starting to get injured. And then, of course, we learned also that number 3, Tua needs to stay healthy. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This next year, we keep him. He needs to stay healthy. If he can't show that he can stay on the field, which for a quarterback, I think it's relatively easy. It's not really that hard to just stay healthy. You just really got to know how to not take hits. And I think with him, the pride that he has to make super special plays, that needs to end. He really needs to go into this offseason knowing that if he plays all 17 games, we're going to the playoffs. It's just the way that it looks, same as last year. He got injured for like 4 or 5 different games. If he's healthy, we go to the playoffs. It's as simple as that. He needs to look himself in the mirror and say that if you play all 17 games, we have a playoff team. When you don't, which you haven't, we can't go to the playoffs. And if we do, we can't do anything. He needs to stay healthy. This is no ifs, ands, or buts. If he can't, we need to find another quarterback that can stay healthy because it just can't keep happening. It can't keep happening where he doesn't just miss 1 game or 2 games. It's like 5, 6, 7. You can't have your starting quarterback missing this significant portion of amount of time. Next we need to talk about is, and I think we're going to probably have breaking news when this comes out, or maybe relatively soon to it, Josh Boyer needs to go. I mean, the defense, I understand there's a lot of injuries. I understand that there is, differing circumstances, but just the scheme that you have going on right now, none of it really makes sense. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff that happened yesterday, defensive line, which we have our best players, you can't really say that he's part of the defensive line because that's where all of our best players are. That's why it's so good. But the back end, I mean, he just doesn't really know how to scheme things right. The all-out blitzing with the corners playing 10 yards back, or, playing press man coverage on a play where you're trying to just stop them from getting down the field. It's ridiculous. It really is. You can't do that. It's like understanding when to take chances, understanding when to not take chances. It's like he doesn't process these things right. So I think Josh Boyer is going to go. We'll make a video later on the defensive coordinators that I think Mike McDaniel's going to have. It was a good trial, but we all see that Brian Flores was the defensive coordinator that did significant things with this team. Number 5, we need to fix the offensive line. That is the last thing, the last piece that I think correlates with Tua. It correlates with the coach. It correlates with everything, is that you just need to fix the offensive line. There's just too many dumb pressures and it's not like they get beaten. It's that they fundamentally missed a person. And that has to do with coaching also, and that has to do with talent. It's just we need to get better on that line, and it needs to happen this next offseason. There's no more Band-Aids. Fix the offensive line. Make this team win in the trenches and allow Tua to have time, or whatever quarterback it is. Allow them to have time. This offensive line needs to get fixed. It hasn't been good since we had Mike Pouncey. I mean, it just has not been good. That's what we learned from this loss. It sucks that our season's over, but it's kind of good to go out with a decent bang that we had. I'm going to make some more videos later on this week of maybe coaching candidates or free agents or something like that. But hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up. Peace.